hose mechanics. It seems basic, but there's really a lot of technique that goes into addressing the hose and operating the nozzle and moving fluidly and effectively to maximize our ability to work and to stay heads up, quite literally. So the first thing, if you look at Sean, you notice that the nozzle's not bound up here in his shoulder. You see a lot of guys want to hold the nozzle like that, and even worse, they get it high up and it's under your armpit. The bad thing is, one, it's high on my center of gravity, so it wants to push, and then two, if Sean wants to move his pattern or sweep with his stream, look at how much body movement he has to put into that effort. So it's labor intensive, and believe it or not, in the heat, it really saps your energy. So what we have is the hose low, and if you guys seen the sumo wrestlers, like get ready to sorry Kevin, to fight and they stomp. Well, what we're looking for is I kind of pick my leg up and it makes that pocket right there in my hip. I want that hose to lay right across my hip, and then I almost kind of step in line and try out this nice athletic stance. So we're gonna anchor it right into our hip right there and hold it into the body. It's gonna help us a lot when we get to the ground. And then his nozzle is out so that his fingertips come just to the tip of the nozzle. The benefit of that is he has about 180 degrees laterally and 360 without any movement of his body. Very easy to manipulate that hose with very little effort. So keep it out in front of you and keep it low, all right? So when we translate that to the ground, Sean's gonna get down and you see his stance right here. The hose isn't high, it's low, helping him stay anchored to the ground. His foot is out to be able to feel in front of him, and he's made this nice shape, of a strong triangle. He's got his face. What's really important, it takes some hip and some knee flexibility, but this job requires athleticism, right? You wouldn't go play football and say, hey, put me in, I want to play, but I've never played before, I don't know how to play, and I haven't prepared my body. It's a ridiculous expectation. Well, this is highly athletic as well. You need flexibility and agility to do this. A big thing is you see his heel right here and his leg, it's staying back from under his center of gravity. If it comes under my center of gravity, I want to fall down. So you need to have that groin and knee flexibility to be able to sit into this position and to be able to have a nice stable base, all right? So the other thing is he's able to look. His head's up the whole time. If it's too hot right here, it's not a better idea to get down and crawl on our hands and knees right here where you're looking at the ground. It's a better idea to cool your environment, call for ventilation, do something to affect it. The way that fire behavior is and how fast fuels transition stages of fire, if it's too hot here, well, don't just get down here to deal with it. You got to do something to stop that heat production, or else it's going to overwhelm you real fast. So getting out of this habit of pulling the nozzle, when he moves, watch what happens to the nozzle. On top of him not looking up, he's changing the pattern, changing the GPM selector ring, accidentally opening the bail. So we want to keep that nozzle off the ground and keep it protected up. So that position, I call it the attack position, it's heads up. I can monitor my environment. I'm as low, this is the line in the sand. See, I'm not going any lower than this. If I have to go lower than this, then something's got to give about my environment, but I'm not going to give up any more thermal ground than this level right here. All right, so you got to understand that, because getting down lower, you're just submitting basically to danger. So we want to see that position. Now, when it comes to the grip, he's actually pushing, instead of fighting against the hose with bicep and shoulder strength to directly counteract that stream coming back at me, he's actually redirecting the force of that hose, and that's why we found that spot in our hip. He's pushing the hose down and into his body. If you can see his hand, he's not holding it and fighting against it, he's redirecting it. Put it on the ground and just show him how we can just pin it. If I just pin the hose and redirect the force, see, he's doing it with just do it with your hand. If he just holds it like this and just pushes it onto the ground, you can open up the hose and it's not going anywhere because we redirected the force instead of combated it directly. It takes way more strength to fight it head on than it does to distribute it just like we do. We capture a load, we distribute it, into the ground. So that's the whole principle of finding that hip and pushing down and into your body is you're working more efficiently, you can work longer. All right, so the movement of this, there are a couple ways to move, and Sean can show you. We can move, if someone's helping you, you can just move straight like this if you need to. But a couple of ways to move from this position, so we can put our knee on it, and our knee on here, the clamp or whatever, what does he call it? I don't know.
You can attack from here too, right? I don't have to have it in my hip. I can do just as much here as I was doing from my hip position, right? I can really hang out here for a long time if I needed to flow for a longer period of time.
Packing house loops, all those things you don't necessarily have to do, and if the nozzle reaction is too strong for you, you can drop a knee on it and hold on to almost anything. 2.5, this is really helpful, but if you're doing it for a prolonged period or you got a strong nozzle reaction, drop your knee on it and it's incredibly manageable.
The other benefit I like of this clamp position, right, is if for some reason the guy behind you is new, he's excited, he's not paying attention to what this guy's doing, right? And he's just trying to feed this guy hose, right? If he's got his whole body weight on that thing, I can't affect him, right? Versus if he was standing up holding it, or if he had it in his hip, I can easily probably push him around. But right now, it's hard for me to do anything to him on the end of that thing, right? He's like this, and I'm feeding hose and it's pushed into a hallway, right? I can easily affect what he's doing, right? Trust me, at some point, your backup will affect how you will affect you on the end of that nozzle. So that's another reason why I like this clamp position, is it's impossible to affect him on the end of the nozzle.
So you mentioned packing house loop, what's that?
We'll talk about that later.
Yes, sir.
So here, movement. So we have the two basic positions to attack from. We have the hip grip, and then we have the knee drop, or the clamp with your knee on the hose. The important thing to realize with the knee on the hose, it gets a little bit uncomfortable. If anybody's done Muay Thai or anything, you got to build up the calluses on your shin bone. Well, I really need that tip of my tibia, just like you're going to do an IO, that tibial tuberosity. I need the shin bone directly contacting the hose. A lot of people get uncomfortable, and so they want to let that hose pass under the comfortable part of their leg to where it's the toe and the knee are touching the ground, and the hose is gently being pushed on. Well, that'll allow the hose to slide back sometimes. So you really got to put the shin bone on it and your weight to push down onto the hose, right? Okay, so movement from this clamp position. See how he just drives the knee forward and the hose comes along? So as long as you have free moving slack, that works great. If you get caught up on a corner, kind of hurts your knee a little bit. So you got to have some control in the movement and a good backup guy feeding you along the way. Come back. So to move from that hip grip, we have a couple of, to move from the hip grip, a lot of times I'll pick two different ways to move. Just like driving with the knee on here, if I'm in this grip and I want to move, I can simply bring this hose up around me and create a pinch point here with my body and drive with my hip the same way. Alright? So that's one way I can move. Or if I really need to pull, no one's helping me out, and I really need to cover some ground, I can switch to a more powerful driving motion. I'm going to take this hose, it's going to come up over my shoulder, and I get into this position. And what I'm able to do is use this point, 3 points of contact and big muscles to move. Alright? And then I just come back to this position when I'm ready to fight fire. So to move together with two people, this takes some practice, but with each and 3/4, not so bad. 2.5 maybe, but a flowing attack is difficult to do by yourself. So if Sean and I are partners and we've practiced this, what I'm going to do, you've all seen this backup, right? Well, this is stupid. I'm focusing all of my help in the palm of my hand on one spot of his body and relying on my arm and shoulder strength to get it there. What's better is if I get in this position here to really kind of be the rock for him. And you see my hand grip. So I'm keeping the hose from going backward and I'm holding him up and he's got to lay on me. He's got to really trust me. And if he wants to go forward and let me know, then I just push him forward.
Forward. Forward.
If we want to go backward, he'll push and I'll know. Alright? So I stay low and pocketed right in here, and we have good body contact. We're close, we're good friends, alright? We can be close. I love you. So
handsome.
we have that good understanding through our feedback of touch. And if he pushes one way or goes one way, I know what he's doing. Alright? So I can push him forward or he can push me back. And that is how we're able to move and flow water at the same time.
The other benefit of some of these positions too, right, is if I'm in this position, right, the one thing you gotta do is think to keep this leg bent, right? If this leg's straight and something falls on this, you're going to the hospital, right? The other benefit of this too is for some reason, let's say Troy falls down, right? He goes to his butt, right? I can come back in and I can pick him back up. Right? Now we're still in the fight.
Alright? It's not something you're going to get right off the bat. You got to learn how to work with each other. Okay? So that's how we want to see you guys address the nozzle. Down low in that hip grip or the knee drop, that clamp out in front of you so you can manipulate it with little energy. Heads up, moving in a functional manner. The other thing we're going to talk about is building slack in your movement. So if let me take this as the nozzle. If I'm on the nozzle and my hose is flaked out like this, or if it's in coils, what I can do to make things easier for me is grab this loop, tuck it under my arm, and then I grab the hose. I'm still able to operate the hose just like I normally do. I can even do it from here, and I can move. So I take this in with me where I need to go, and once it gets too hard, or I hit a corner, all I do is drop back and continue on. So I built slack into my movement. So I'm coming as backup, we'll do the same thing. And this is what we're talking about, not playing inch for an inch. I move an inch, he gives me an inch. I move 5 feet, he brought 10. So I go like this.
Now I can come back here and start to work unless he's going around a corner, right? I just gave us 10 extra feet, 15 feet for the keep fighting fire.
That feels good. So really the only other thing is coils. We're going to go over on the Minuteman, but we're going to have a lot of hose coiled up in a small section. The benefit of coils, it takes up a small amount of space. I can even stand this up against the wall, which we'll do over there. But moving hose, especially upstairs, I don't need to pull it. I roll it. And if we're playing, you ditch me son? So it moves pretty quick, pretty easily, alright? If the hose gets too tall, we can resize it by just pulling on one end, make it smaller. If I have a big distance I need to go to spread the gap, like up over stairs, I can make a big coil and push it flat, and then they can grab it and roll it forward, alright? So the coils come in handy a lot of times. The other thing is that when they come out, they're staged ready to go right back in. Okay? Any questions? Did I forget anything? Questions?
Sir.
All right, so that's how we're going to move from now on with all these drills, okay?